viewpoint, statement, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. It's time to talk Aqua and Orange. Miami Dolphins fans. Here's a man with incredibly high standards. In fact, he isn't impressed with Tyreek Hill's dominance, Jalen Waddle's speed, or even Teron Armstead's swag. It's the Essential Moving Experts Miami Dolphins Exchange with Joe Schad. When you're looking to move your home or business anywhere in the U.S. from coast to coast, call Essential Moving Experts at 305-602-8369. Flat rates and no surprise charges. EssentialMovingExperts.com. Call 305-602-8369. Let's talk football. Here's Joe Schad.
How in the hell can you not be impressed with Teron Armstead's swag? Really? Come on.
I don't think I ever said that. Someone made that up.
Oh, it was. Oh, you know the media people. They never make anything up. Come on.
They twist everything around.
Jesus, how you doing? How you feeling after practice? You on the IR too?
No, I'm doing fine.
Okay. All right.
Looking forward to the 3-day weekend.
What do you think about the 3 backs available only for first week?
Yeah, I guess there's a reason why the Dolphins kept Chris Brooks. Certainly Jeff Wilson's the injured reserve with side and finger injuries are not what we expected after I had asked McDaniel about it just a few days ago. But things change. Obviously, they got some information that they didn't like. Mike McDaniel felt that Wilson couldn't protect himself and he'll miss at least the first 4 games.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. I got a little bit of a different theory on this, okay? Because it's super easy, and you are correct, to say, well, I guess they kept Chris Brooks because of the injuries. Yeah, but I also put this out there on the show just in case. So the coach admitted last year he screwed up. He didn't run the ball enough. He had opportunities. There were moments where he failed to run and he should have run the ball and it would have helped his offense, his quarterback, his running game, all that. He even apologized to Raheem Mostert 2 weeks ago, which I think that was I think we're seeing his MO. His MO is the second game now is going to be the display game. And then the third game is, he went kind of vanilla. So I think that second game where they had the 200 yards, I think that's a sign of things to come. And I think there's going to be a dedication to the running game this year that wasn't there last year. And he's well aware of it. So I think he said, you know what? This year we're going to carry an extra running back because I am going to run the ball more. And because guys get injured because it's a contact position, I think it behooves us to carry an extra guy. So maybe that 5th guy is not so much about the injury, but maybe it's about the plan moving forward. Any shot you think that is true?
Somewhat. I mean, A-Chain's already banged up. Mostert has been hurt throughout his career. Wilson has been hurt throughout his career. And now, Wilson is hurt and A-Chain is trying to get ready for game 1. The one thing about the Chargers is they stink against the run. And so I'm a little disappointed that we won't get to see Jeff Wilson against the Chargers because I would have predicted him to lead the team in rushing in that particular game. Okay. And so now you have to really hope that Mostert is, in fact, much more explosive 1 year removed from a pretty serious injury. That A-Chain is, in fact, trusted by the coaches to pick up a block. When that was Derwin James, is he a Florida State kid? He is, right? I think so.
Yes, he is. When
Derwin James creeps up to the line and blitzes Tua on 3rd down, is Devon A-Chain on the field or is Savon Ahmed on the field? Ahmed is improved as a blocker. And A-Chain is willing to stick his nose in there, but as a rookie, same with Cam Smith at corner. Be very, very interesting to see how much Devon A-Chain and Cam Smith play as rookies, considering they are the entirety of the Dolphins draft class.
Or Brooks, by the way. You never know.
Undrafted, but yeah.
Yeah, no, because what you wanted out of Wilson, you're really going to get more out of Brooks. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That
tough physical, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what you were talking about with Wilson, because you think the bruising runner can damage the Chargers. Well, then you're going to have to use Brooks in that role, really, because he's really the bruiser. Although I got to say, man, one thing I learned about Raheem Mostert last year, he runs a lot tougher than what you think he is. Because I always looked at him as a finesse runner, a fast guy, outside guy. But there were moments last year when he had to put his head down and bull rush somebody, and he did it. And I was
there were a couple of memorable runs. Mostert is a guy who runs with determination. He and Wilson both undrafted, Chris Brooks undrafted. That's why it didn't really make sense to think that they were going to pay what it would be required to pay for Jonathan Taylor or Dalvin Cook. You never know. Maybe something changes, but that doesn't seem to be the favored strategy in this building.
When it's low-hanging fruit, they'll do it, bro. I keep telling everybody that. That's why I didn't take any of this shit serious, because they're not going to offer a first or a second. They're not going to offer any high pick or anything like that. They're going to try to steal the trade like they did with Jalen Ramsey, where they just gave up a third rounder and then that's it. And they move on. They'll do stuff like that. They'll give up a third rounder for Jalen Ramsey. But to me, that's what Chris Greer does, bro. He wants low-hanging fruit. So he makes the calls to see if he can get low-hanging fruit. I think the problem is we have people in the media across the country, maybe some locally, and we have a lot of fans that I think they still think Mike Tannenbaum's in place. And things have changed. This guy's a much more shrewd negotiator, bro. Look what he's done with Wilkins. Wilkins has busted his ass, has been the perfect, citizen and a hell of a player, but there's one thing missing, and he has the face to look at the guy and say, I can't give you that kind of money because you don't bring the sacks. I'm sorry. This is a fine front office, dude. It's changed. And that's why I never had any in that story, because I knew that the Dolphins weren't going to give up anything. And I knew the Colts were just screwing with the agent and the player.
I want to tell you, out here at practice, Tyreek Hill missed a second straight day with an excused absence. I do not know if it is or is not related to the National Football League's potential interest in suspension. Do you know? I don't know.
Well, I've been saying this. We're going to get something by Friday at 5 o'clock. Why? You can't tell the Dolphins he's suspended for the game against the Chargers on Monday. So you must make a ruling by Friday at 5 o'clock by the end of the workday. So I wonder if what's going on now, he's meeting with the commissioner. I've been from the school of he's going to get a 1-game suspension solely from the anger he showed, not the slap, the anger he showed when one guy stopped him and then 6 other people had to stop him. And because of his prior issues, I think the league is going to give him a 1-game suspension, unfortunately.
Well, I think that would be unfair. I mean, there was no crime committed. You got to have you got to have the guy found guilty. And I know that's not the NFL policy. I understand, but it's unfair. It'd be unfair.
You paid him off. That's why there was no charge.
He didn't even do anything. He touched him on the back of the neck. I mean, that would be a joke.
That's assault, bro. That's assault. You knock somebody's phone down, it's assault. It's the way it is. That's assault. Whether you like it or not, it's assault. You can be charged with assault because of what he did. That's just the way it goes. So either he is going to get a serious fine, or he's going to get a slap on the wrist. That's what's going on right now, anger management classes or something, or he will face a game suspension. I don't think more than a game, but that's what I fear because of the anger displayed, not the slap. That's where they're going to say this guy has an anger problem, because if all these people didn't stop
a lot of
him,
guys in the locker room have anger problems.
Well, Joe, what
did
happens
you commit a crime? Let's hold these guys responsible for crimes. That was nothing. That was a whole lot of nothing burger.
Dude, what happens if the 7 left tackles don't stop him?
I'm just telling you my opinion. I don't think he should be suspended. I want to also tell you, Teron Armstead not ready to practice, hopefully next week.
Your opinion. What happens if the 7 people don't stop him, Joe? What's your answer to that?
We don't know. There's a lot of unpredictability in human behavior. Liam Eichenberg not ready to practice. Savon Ahmed not ready to practice. Elijah Campbell not ready to practice. Listen, if you're right, and Tyreek Hill is suspended, that changes everything. Jalen Waddle becomes the primary target. all of a sudden you're looking at Braxton Berrios and River Craycraft and Eric Izukama. Do you re-sign Robbie Chosen?
No.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Robbie Chosen's not a good football player. That's the problem with Robbie Chosen. He's a nice little outside runner, very limited wide receiver, can't catch in traffic, ain't going to fight for the ball in the middle of the field. He's not really that kind of guy. He's not going to help you out on special teams. Craycraft does everything and can help you all over. He's a football player. Azukama is a football player. Robbie he's an outside wide receiver and probably a backup at this point in his career. I just don't think that there was enough of a football player there, and that's what you need at the back end of the roster. If he was one of your two starters and that's all he did was, fly on the outside, you can live with that because then you design the rest of your roster in other ways. But if you're on the back end of the roster, you need to be more of a football player as a wide receiver, and he's just not a football player. That's the thing.
It was disappointing because it got off to a fast start, then faded. At some point, he lost the trust of some of the coaches, it appears to me.
Yeah, he got the Albert Wilson hype from 2 years ago. All right, so the Teron Armstead thing. Are you concerned at all for a game? I kind of trust this guy. Like if he tells you he's going to suck it up and play.
I mean, he was on NFL Network talking about how he expects to play. I mean, this guy plays. This guy will be out there. Is he going to be 100% against Khalil Mack and Joey Mosa? Maybe not, but 90% Teron Armstead is much better than, anyone else.
Can you make the Dolphin Nation feel better about Austin Jackson, or are you still extremely concerned about Austin Jackson? Talk to us.
No, I mean, listen, no tackle is going to be perfect. There are going to be times once or twice a game where he either gets beaten inside or bull rushed. But most NFL tackles get beaten once or twice a game if they're not, on a caliber of a Teron Armstead. I think he's greatly improved. I think he's healthy. I think he's in good shape. I think that the new offensive line coach is pushing him. And I was talking to Austin about this yesterday. He's confident that he can play well, and I think he will be much improved.
Connor made us really nervous last year with a bunch of bad snaps. But then when the regular season rolled around, I think it only happened like twice, maybe. It didn't really happen a whole ton. It actually ended up happening more in training camp in the preseason last year. This year, same shit, dude. Like, we're nervous. Like, he's had several of them, and Tua got a dude landed on his ass in the last one. So, one, how concerned are you with Connor? Do you think kind of the same thing will happen? And two, backup center. What's the plan, dude?
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to bet on Connor Williams having no poor snaps in the first game at the Chargers. You wouldn't take that bet. And I asked the O-line coach about it, and he said, listen, it's his second year playing center. He's got to worry about blocking 320-pounders in front of him. He's got to worry about setting up the line and the blockage scheme.
That's the job.
Everyone agrees the one thing you got to do is snap the ball to center. Now, he's really talented in terms of his mobility and strength.
Yes.
He is a really good center. You just got to get it back there, without error. And the backup, if for some reason something would happen to Connor Williams, they probably add a center. I think you have Liam Eichenberg and Lester Cotton at this time as game day emergency centers. That's the setup.
Kind of like Cotton, dude, because he plays in a phone booth. And I don't think he's the guy that you ask so much to get to the second level and all that kind of stuff. So snapping is first snap and then maul the guy in front of you. Not necessarily. There's not a lot of centers you're using to go to the second level or pool or anything like. There are some that have done it. Don't get me wrong. There's some freaks that can do it. But in general, you don't. In general, you snap and kind of stay in a zone pretty much. If he can snap and the way he mauls, I kind of like Cotton in that role, actually. You know what I mean? I've never seen it because I haven't seen enough of him do it, but at least watching him as a guard, maybe that might be a position that he could transition to.
Yeah, I would like to see what Cotton can do at center. Obviously, the Dolphins think that Eichenberg is capable, maybe even more capable at center than guard, because I don't see him in the guard mix at this point. I think it's Isaiah Wynn. And, who knows? Maybe Eichenberg becomes a guy who can play guard, center, and tackle, right? A utility player, an emergency fill-in guy, like the 8th offensive lineman that you dress each game. I got to run in a couple of minutes, but I want to let you know to check out my stuff on the Palm Beach Post's website. I wrote a column in which I agree with Chris Greer in his telling me that the Dolphins are ready to compete with Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. Yeah. So check out that column. And also check out, I wrote a story. I talked to Julian Hill about the undrafted tight end from Campbell. Found out that for the first 10 years of his life, he experienced homelessness. And so it wasn't until he was 10 that he was adopted. That's Mike DePasquale banging on the door doing an interview. Like, I'm going to answer the door.
I'll wrap it up with this.
Yeah.
When you look at this team, has the front office done its job? Is it really now up to McDaniel and his staff to make this team as competitive as Chris Greer? Because I believe that this is a really talented roster. And now the ball is in the coach's court now to make these guys the winners and get in and make some.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's 75% on the coaching staff, all right? If the offensive line fails, we cannot discount the 25% of blame that goes to Chris Greer and his staff. All right?
Of course. But I'm sure he followed what they wanted. So, because they're the O-line experts. So I bet he kind of went with what they wanted in the end. Follow him on Twitter as Schad Joe. Catch his work there at the Palm Beach Post. Joe, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up next week, my friend.
All right, see you, bud.
You've been listening to the Essential Moving Experts Miami Dolphins Exchange with Joe Schad. When you're looking for local, home, long moving services or office relocation, call Essential Moving Experts at 305-602-8369. Flat rates and no surprise charges. EssentialMovingExperts.com. Call 305-602-8369. Miami Dolphins fans, follow Big O Radio Show on all platforms to keep up with your favorite NFL team.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.